The journey begins where the map ends, deep in the freezing, desolate waves of the South Atlantic Ocean. This isn't just a trip, it looks more like a death sentence. On board is David, a young weather official. His job? To monitor the climate. But he has no idea that on the island he is heading towards, the weather is the least dangerous thing waiting for him. This island is a graveyard in the middle of nowhere. The government has sent him here for 1 year of isolation, 1 year to collect data. They gave him enough rations to survive, but will food be enough to save him from what lurks in the dark? After days of cutting through dead waves, the boat finally docks at this cursed rock. As they step onto the shore, absolute silence greets them. The island is completely barren, no birds, no sound, just the wind. The only signs of life are a towering, creepy lighthouse and a small wooden cabin. This cabin is David's home for the next 365 days. But wait, David isn't the first. There was an official named Robert stationed here before him. By law, Robert should be here to hand over the shift. But something feels terribly wrong. Robert should have been packing his bags, but when David and the crew enter the cabin, the sight freezes their blood. The place is empty. Robert is gone, but his belongings are scattered everywhere, pointing to a violent struggle. Did he vanish into thin air? The captain and David look toward the lighthouse, hoping for answers. They rush towards it, but as they get closer, another shock awaits. The lighthouse has been turned into a fortress. It is surrounded by sharp, spiked wooden stakes. It looks like a war zone. Someone inside is terrified of something or someone trying to get in. The captain knocks. Silence. Finally, they force the door open and storm in. Inside the shadows, they find a man. His name is Gruner. He looks more like a wild animal than a man. When asked about Robert, Gruner speaks in a cold, hollow voice. He died. He swam out to sea and never came back. There is a madness in Gruner's eyes that sends shivers down their spines. Sensing the danger, the captain gives David a final chance. David, this place feels like a grave. Come back with us. But David, perhaps blinded by greed or destiny, refuses. He thinks if he collects data from this hellhole, he'll return to the city with fame and a massive paycheck. Before leaving, the captain hands David a pistol and says, "Watch your back, kid." And then the ship sails away, leaving him alone in this nightmare. Or so he thinks. Night falls, and the silence becomes deafening. David tries to make the cabin livable. In a drawer, he finds a hidden diary belonging to the missing officer, Robert. As he turns the pages, sweat beads on his forehead. The diary speaks of a dark secret and a mysterious creature that stalks the island. The handwriting is shaky, the sentences incomplete. There are sketches of horrifying beasts. David thinks Robert must have gone insane from isolation. He also finds a photo of a woman. Exhausted, David falls asleep, unaware that the diary's nightmare is about to knock on his door. The next morning, David starts his work. He's a man of science. He needs proof. While exploring the shore, he finds something disturbing. A circle of stones arranged in a weird pattern, filled with seashells. This isn't nature. This is intelligent design. David assumes it's Gruner's madness. But then, looking through his binoculars at the lighthouse, his heart skips a beat. He sees Gruner standing there, but someone or something is standing next to him. In a blink, the figure vanishes. Was it real, or is the island playing tricks on his mind? Night returns, and the real terror begins. David is in his cabin when suddenly, knock, knock. He thinks it's Gruner. He calls out. Silence. He grabs his lantern and moves closer to the door. Suddenly, a low, guttural growl echoes, a sound no human could make. And then, From under the door gap, a hand slides in. It's dark, slimy, with webbed fingers. That is not a human hand. Ideally, David should be safe inside, but panic takes over. He sprints to the basement and hides in the darkest corner. The wood cracks and the creature breaks in. It's hunting, sniffing the air for fresh meat. Through a crack in the floorboards, David holds his breath, watching a blue-skinned monster search for him. Then, a mistake. David shifts, and the monster locks eyes with him. It lunges like a starving wolf, clawing through the opening. David has seconds to live. He grabs a knife and plunges it straight into the creature's eye. A horrific scream pierces the night, and the monster flees in pain. But David knows this was just the scout. The war has begun. David sits paralyzed until sunrise. Under the morning sun, he sees the beach, footprints that aren't human, leading straight into the ocean. Now the fortress around the lighthouse makes perfect sense. Those spikes weren't for decoration. He realizes this wooden cabin is nothing but a coffin. Desperate, he runs to the lighthouse. "Gruner, open up! Let me in!" he begs. But from the balcony, Gruner looks down coldly. "You should have left on the ship. Now suffer." He refuses to open the gate. Gruner dumps cold water on him and turns away. David is on his own. He rushes back to the cabin, realizing he has to turn it into a fortress. He boards up every window, sharpens stakes, and plants them around the perimeter. He even piles old books and papers outside the door, soaking them in oil, a desperate fire trap. But David made a huge miscalculation. He thinks one might come back. He has no idea an entire army is rising. Luckily, he finds a hidden crate inside. It opens to reveal a rifle and ammunition, a sliver of hope. The sun sets and the island transforms. The darkness feels heavy. David sits in the corner, rifle in hand, heart pounding against his ribs. Silence. Then a noise. David peeks through a crack in the shutter. What he sees freezes his blood. It's not one, it's not two. The ocean is boiling as hundreds of blue monsters crawl onto the shore, heading straight for him. They rush the cabin. As they slam into the door, David opens fire. Bang, bang! Some fall, but they are relentless. He's running out of bullets.
He thought the gunshots would scare them. Wrong. Seeing their own die only makes them angrier. They tear at the walls, the doors buckling. David activates Plan B. He throws a torch onto the oil-soaked books outside. Whoosh! A massive wall of fire erupts. The monsters screech and retreat into the ocean. But victory is short-lived. The fire catches the wooden cabin. His shelter is burning down around him. He wraps himself in a wet blanket and leaps through the flames. Checking for broken bones and burns, David crawls behind a rock near the lighthouse. His hand is bleeding badly. Then, as if nature is mocking him, a heavy rainstorm begins. It puts out the fire, but it's too late. His home, his food, his safety, everything is ash. Now there is only one option left, the lighthouse. He grabs his rifle, hides in the rocks, and waits for Gruner to come out. It's his only chance to survive. Hours later, Gruner steps out to get water. David stalks him like a shadow, but suddenly, attack! A figure leaps onto David from the rocks. It's one of them. David wrestles the beast to the ground and aims his rifle at its head. He is about to pull the trigger when Gruner screams, "Stop! Don't shoot! She's my pet!" David freezes. Pet? This man-eating monster is a pet? Thinking fast, David makes a deal. If you want her alive, you let me in the lighthouse, or I blow her brains out. Gruner, seeing David's resolve and his gunpowder supply, reluctantly agrees. They enter the lighthouse. David collapses from exhaustion. The next morning, he wakes up to a bizarre sight. The creature, Gruner's pet, is licking his wounded hand. David pulls back in fear, but then he looks closer. The deep gash on his hand has completely healed. Her saliva has miraculous healing properties. David is stunned. This isn't just a beast, it's a scientific breakthrough.
He tells Gruner they could be rich and famous if they reveal this to the world. But Gruner, he just stares with hate in his eyes. "I am the king here," Gruner growls, "and I'm not going anywhere. On this forsaken rock, he plays God." But how did this creature become a pet? The story is twisted. Gruner caught her in a net when she was young. He saved her, yes, but then he enslaved her. In exchange for loyalty, Gruner gives her nothing but pain. He abuses her, beats her, and uses her. He has broken her spirit so utterly that she believes she is his slave. Suddenly, the nightly attacks make sense to David. The Ord isn't invading, they're on a rescue mission. They come every night to save their lost sister from this tyrant, Gruner. But Gruner has the high ground and the firepower. The creatures can't attack during the day because direct sunlight burns their skin. So every night, this island becomes a battlefield. David doesn't want to be part of this madness, but there is no exit. Evening comes. Gruner tosses a rifle to David. "Lock and load," he says. "They're coming." As the sun dips below the horizon, the sea turns black and shadows emerge. Hundreds of them. They scale the lighthouse walls like insects. Gruner fires like a madman, laughing. But David, he freezes. The sheer scale of death, the screaming, the blood, it's too much. Gruner yells at him, but David cowers in the corner, overwhelmed by fear, until he passes out. Splash! Icy water hits David's face. It's morning. Gruner stands over him, furious. "If you want to live, you kill. There are no free rides here." He gives David an ultimatum: fetch water, do the chores, and fight alongside him at night or be thrown out to the beasts. David has no choice. It's survive or die. Ironically, David starts obeying Gruner, but one thing eats at his soul: watching Gruner torture the female creature, whom David has named Aneris, every single day. Night falls again. The horde climbs the walls, but this time, something has changed in David. Fear turns to anger. He picks up the rifle and starts firing, but Gruner decides to test him. He steps inside and locks the balcony door. Gruner leaves David alone outside with the monsters. Fight or die. David, alone in the freezing wind, faces the swarm. He fights, he falls, he rises, and somehow he survives the night. Morning light breaks. Gruner opens the door. David sits there, covered in blood, but alive. The fear in his eyes is gone. He is a warrior now. This becomes their life. Slavery by day, war by night. But amidst the horror, a strange bond forms between David and Aneris. He sees the sadness in her eyes, the pain of being separated from her people. David realizes she isn't a monster, she's a soul in pain. But can David save her without getting killed by Gruner? The tension is about to explode. Will David turn on Gruner? Smash that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next.
David starts to realize something profound. Aneris, that's the name he gave the female creature, isn't just a mindless animal. There is intelligence in her eyes, maybe even a soul. Days turn into weeks, and strangely, the island goes quiet. The nightly attacks stop. David naively thinks the cold weather drove them away, or maybe they finally gave up on the fortress. But he couldn't be more wrong. Gruner, who knows these beasts better than anyone, smashes David's hope instantly. "Don't be a fool," he warns. "They didn't leave, they are regrouping, and when they come back, they will bring an army." One night after dinner, they get distracted playing chess. They get so absorbed in the game that they commit the ultimate sin. They forget to turn on the lighthouse beam, and darkness is the enemy's invitation. Suddenly, a roar shakes the walls. David rushes to the balcony. The ocean is boiling over. Look at the visual. Countless creatures are scaling the walls like spiders. There are too many to shoot. They have no plan. The ammo is running low, and death is climbing the stairs. They scramble to the top lantern room, but in the chaos, Gruner's leg gets savaged. They are cornered. They look at each other, accepting their fate. This is the end. Use your ammo count? 0. But just as the first claw reaches them, the sun rises, saved by the bell. The The burning light sears the creature's skin, sending them screaming back into the depths. They survived, but barely. Under the morning sun, Daenerys licks Gruner's wounds, healing him. But David knows this was a warning, not a victory. No food, no bullets. Next time, they die. David looks hopelessly at the horizon. But wait, David spots something in the distance. A ship. A way home. Salvation. David sprints inside, grabs the flare gun, and aims at the sky. He's about to pull the trigger when, click! Gruner stops him. Gruner aims his rifle right at David's chest. Put it down. He refuses to let David leave, simply because Daenerys attacks Gruner to protect David. But Gruner doesn't care. He creates his own reality here. He is the king of this rock. If David leaves, the world finds out about his secret kingdom and his pet. He needs a subject to rule over. David isn't a guest anymore. He's a prisoner. David watches in silence as the ship disappears into the fog. His ticket home, gone. Days turn into a nightmare loop. Gruner becomes more cruel, taking his anger out on Daenerys. David hates it. To offer a tiny shred of kindness, David carves a small toy boat from a whalebone and gives it to Daenerys. Her eyes light up. She grabs David's hand and leads him to a desolate corner of the beach. And there, buried in the rocks, lies a real boat, or what's left of one. David is shocked. He confronts Gruner, who dismissively admits, "Yeah, I know about it." The story is chilling. A crew from a sunken ship rode here for safety. They were carrying crates of explosives, but they never made it to sunrise. The creatures slaughtered every single one of them. David's mind starts racing. Explosives? If that ship went down nearby, that means somewhere on the ocean floor there's a stockpile of dynamite waiting to be found. David comes up with a suicide mission. He finds an old rusty diving suit. He tells Gruner, "If we can reach that wreck, we can get the dynamite. We can blow them all to hell." Gruner refuses at first. It's too risky. But David is desperate. It's better to die trying than to be eaten alive in the tower. As they prepare, the bond between David and Daenerys grows deeper. They communicate without words, and Gruner notices a dangerous jealousy begins to rot his mind. Gruner watches them from the shadows. He realizes Daenerys is falling for David. His subject is stealing his slave. His kingdom is crumbling. So he agrees to the plan with a twisted grin. "Fine, you go down, get the TNT, I'll pull you up." But his real plan, he wants David to send the dynamite up, and then he plans to cut the rope. He wants to leave David at the bottom of the ocean as fish food. Unaware of the betrayal, David suits up. He descends into the freezing, dark abyss. The visuals here are haunting. The wreck looks like a skeleton. David searches the cargo hold. Bingo! He finds the crates of dynamite. But then, movement in the shadows. David turns and his heart stops. Creatures right there in the water with him. Panic sets in. He stumbles and falls backward. The suit is too heavy. He's pinned to the ocean floor like an overturned turtle. He tries to signal, but the line is slack. Up on the boat, Gruner is smiling, waiting for the bubbles to stop. He thinks David is dead. But down below, a twist. The creatures aren't attacking. They're curious. They're just children. Tiny blue amphibian kids. Realizing he isn't in danger, David manages to wiggle out of the heavy suit. With his lungs burning, he grabs the dynamite and swims frantically to the surface. He breaks the water, gasping for air. He survived. Now the tide of war turns. They rig the lighthouse with 2 perimeters of TNT. A trap is set. Winter arrives. Snow covers the black rocks, but silence. No attacks. It's like the creatures know about the trap. Gruner becomes paranoid. He accuses Daenerys of telepathically warning them. He starts beating her in a rage.
Grateful. She told them. Grateful. Them, didn't you?
David barely stops him. Finally, they decide to force the issue. The new plan, leave the front door open. A deadly invitation. And to make sure they come, David tells Daenerys to go to the top of the tower and scream. Daenerys lets out a piercing shriek that echoes over the waves. It works. The ocean erupts. The creatures think the gate is down. It's their only chance to save her. Thousands of them swarm the beach, running blindly towards the lighthouse. David stands at the open door, the bait in the trap. As the first beast enters, David fights it off and sprints up the stairs. They're all in the kill zone. They start climbing the wall.
Gruner grabs the detonator handle. Die, you filth! He pushes it down.
Click. Nothing happens. The circuit is dead. David realizes he disconnected the wires earlier, and Gruner forgot to reconnect them. The horde is inches away. David sprints to the balcony, stripping the wires with his teeth. Gruner is fighting them off with a club. Sparks fly. David connects the wires. Boom! The first ring explodes. Bodies fly everywhere, but there are still too many. Gruner, insane with bloodlust, detonates the second ring immediately. The blast is so massive, it nearly topples the lighthouse. They're both knocked unconscious. Morning comes. Silence. The lighthouse is surrounded by carnage. Gruner wakes up and starts finishing off the wounded survivors. It's a massacre. David stumbles through the bodies, and then he freezes. He looks at one of the dead creatures. Around its neck is a necklace, a shell necklace. David is stunned. Animals don't wear jewelry. Animals don't make art. In that moment, the truth hits him like a truck. These aren't monsters. They're a civilization. Families. They feel love, fear, and loss. Gruner isn't a hero defending a fort. He's a mass murderer. The war is over, but the victory feels hollow. Every night now, a mournful sound drifts from the ocean. Weeping. The creatures are crying for their dead. David is consumed by guilt. He broke families. He created orphans. He decides to make amends. The next day, he sees the orphan children playing in the water. He builds a stone circle on the beach and places the toy boat inside it, hoping Anaris will see it and come back. He waits for hours, but she doesn't come. Defeated, David goes back inside. Gruner is asleep. David spots an old photograph near Gruner's bed. He picks it up and gasps. The photo shows a beautiful woman, the same woman from the missing officer Robert's diary, and standing next to her is a young man. It's Gruner. The pieces fall into place. The missing officer, Robert, never died. Gruner is Robert. He faked his death, changed his name, and stayed on the island because the guilt and isolation drove him insane. He couldn't return to civilization after what he'd become. The next evening, he goes to the beach. The toy boat is gone. A small creature child is playing with it. David stands there. He holds a burning torch and throws it into the water, a symbol of peace. I am done fighting. The message is received. From the waves, Anaris rises. Behind her, the entire tribe. But they aren't attacking. They are standing still. They are accepting the truce. It's a beautiful moment until Gruner ruins it. He storms out with his rifle. His ego cannot handle this. If there's peace, he's no longer the king defending his castle. He screams at Anaris, "Get inside, now!" He orders her like a dog, but for the first time, Anaris doesn't move. She chooses her people. She chooses freedom. Gruner's face twists in rage. His power is gone. When his command is ignored, Gruner snaps. He raises his flare gun and fires blindly into the crowd. The burning flare hits a creature child right in the chest. The child dies instantly. The truce is shattered. The creatures flee in terror. Anaris looks at David one last time, a look of pure betrayal, and disappears into the sea. Everything David worked for is destroyed. Furious, David chases Gruner back to the lighthouse. Tonight, he ends this. David tackles Gruner. Why? They just wanted peace. But Gruner is gone. Only the monster remains. He grabs an iron bar to bash David's skull in. Just before the strike, David screams, "Stop it, Robert. You are not a killer. You are human." Hearing his real name, Robert freezes him. The madness lifts for a second. He remembers his wife. He remembers who he used to be before the island took his soul. He realizes he didn't fight monsters. He became one. Tears fill Gruner's eyes. Regret washes over him. But the horde creates a deafening noise. They're coming back for revenge for the child. Gruner looks at David. He knows what he has to do. He drops his weapon. He doesn't fight. He walks out to the balcony and surrenders himself to the swarm. It's his punishment. The creatures swarm him, and in seconds, the king of the island is gone. David locks himself inside the iron room, listening to the end of an era. Time passes. Seasons change. A year later, a ship appears on the horizon. A new captain and a young replacement officer step onto the shore. History is repeating itself. The new captain looks at David, bearded, unkempt, wearing Gruner's coat. He asks, "Where is the old officer?" David looks at them, his eyes hollow,
and says the exact words Gruner said to him. He swam out to sea, and he never came back. The new officer thinks David is crazy. David steps aside to the balcony, staring at the endless ocean. He's not leaving. He understands now. In the distance, Anaris swims freely with her family. No more slavery, no more war, just a silent understanding between two different species. David has taken Gruner's place, but will he be a king or a keeper of peace? The movie leaves us with that question. What a mind-bending story. Do you think David will become evil like Gruner? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this explanation, please smash that like button and subscribe for more movies explained. Thanks for watching.